I'm Gaz, and this is Let's Play Terroir. This game was given to me as a review copy by the publisher, and it is a game about making wine, of which I know nothing. I know nothing about wine. I'm not really a fan of it myself, but we'll give the game a try. So we'll start on standard difficulty, because I guess, and we'll name the vineyard Gaztraminer.
Congratulations on the
So there
founding
is
of yours.
a voiceover tutorial lady, which I will be skipping over because she basically just tells us how to get our first crop of grapes and turn it into wine. There's much more to the game, and this game, or this button right here, opens a rather, wow, I can't even talk, this is a great start to the series, rather robust in-game manual and tutorial setup that tells you everything except really the important bit, which is the balance of your wine, and we'll see that as we go on here. But there's a lot of information, so we'll just kind of go through it. I'm going to have to look through this thing on my own in between episodes as the needs come along. Anyway, so with this paused, the year goes by very quickly, so I'm going to, at least early on here, keep it paused for a moment as I explain things. So we see our little vineyard right here. This is what we start out with. We start out with our, well, I guess our estate. One vineyard, or one field anyway, and then usually some other tile. In this case, it is a forest, which gives us some kind of bonus. Gives me a percentile bonus to adjacent vines' fertility. Other times there'll be a lake, which keeps away some crop disease or whatever. Looking at the layout right now, I am not impressed because I do not have the ability to surround a hex. Except maybe here. This actually would probably be the good thing to choose. You can re-roll these if you don't like what you have, and you have to pay, of course, to add more than what there is. So for right now, we've got to basically find some grapes to produce. We will have to wait just a little bit for that symbol that she was just talking about to pop up before I can even plant. I don't know how long that takes. We'll speed up the time. I have not played very much into this game, but I have gone through the tutorial. So, we have now the ability to plant a crop, and we can see that it is loam. There is also clay, sand, they all do different things, and again, that's all in the manual. I will have to look at that myself in time. This is gaining a 10% increase in its monthly yield thanks to the forest, so yes, I think this will be an ideal place for my crops. There are also empty spaces like this one, where we can build buildings for like workers' huts and etc. So I don't know if I want to keep that or re-roll it, but anyway, we are going to need to plant a grape vine, and you can see that it has, loam is good for Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay. So if we look at that, it brings up whatever this is, and these are kind of clues that honestly I don't really know much about raising grapes and viticulture and terroir, so I don't know how pertinent this is and how I can manipulate it, but based on keywords in the game, things like full-bodied, it might tell me a little something about how to grow this, and we'll see, as I say, in a minute here how those stats come up for grapes. So anyway, this is cheap for maintaining and planting as opposed to Chardonnay, but I believe I could probably sell this for much more. However, given that this is my first crop and I'm going to have very limited funds, especially if I want to buy another tile, we're just going to go ahead and plant the Cabernet. So we'll plant that.
Depending on the weather, your vines
And
will...
blah. Okay, so as this goes on, as she was about to say, depending on the weather, it will affect how this grows. Now, things that we have to worry about are the foliage, because less foliage in the sunshine will increase ripeness. Our goal is to get somewhere in between the 5 to 7 range for ripeness, because that will give us really good stats for our wine. So it's got light foliage, and we have not had any sun yet. I am tempted to actually, I'm just going to cut it down. Yeah, okay. And it has no foliage. So hopefully it's not a very sunny summer, because if it is, it's going to be overexposed, and that's going to suck. It is, however, raining, so maybe I'll let it have some light foliage here. The rain might increase my... There we go. Okay, now it is going to too much. It says optimal. That is a lie. So this is partly sunny, so it should go up just a little bit. But partly sunny, I probably given what time it is now, I think I'm going to cut down all foliage. Because we have to harvest by November. Okay, so we see that I'm suffering from fungal rot. I don't know how to deal with that. I'm going to have to cut down my frickin'... And every time you want to do it, you have to click that frickin' tool, which I think is stupid. Having it selected does not allow you to just double-click and click on down. You have to go back and select this tool. I don't know how many other tools there are. I assume there are going to be a few, because otherwise that makes this very pointless to have one-click, two-click. But anyway, we have not raised any foliage. Ripeness, I mean. It is now ripening. It was just a little bit, because we had some sun. This is not going to be a good crop. I'm going to give it just a little bit more time. We can see here that I now have the ability to harvest. That was a pretty shitty season. So I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer. Okay, 4. If we're lucky, we'll maybe hit 5 before November. It's November. We're going to have to harvest now.
Your wine has characteristics.
Okay. So, the characteristics of the wine are dependent upon its ripeness. Overexposure decreases acidity, but raises all of these stats, over-ripeness, I should say. This balance is going to be different for each type of grape, or each type of wine we're trying to produce. And unfortunately, the game is A, new enough, B, obscure enough, and C, unhelpful enough, that we're basically going to have to figure this out on our own, what the optimal and ideal stats are for each type. I say unhelpful because that is not in the manual. It says, oh, have fun figuring it out for yourself. No. I'm the kind of person, just in general, who enjoys having all the information, because I need that to make decisions. And if you've ever watched my videos, especially for strategy games before, you know I take a long time to make decisions because I process information and I like to go down all the different possibilities. This annoys the shit out of me, to be honest. Anyway, let's go on and turn this into wine. So now we have to choose a crushing process, and right now we only have just stomping up and down in a giant barrel. I think along here we can do some research. I think that's as you increase your estate, it unlocks new things, because yeah, we have to have an estate level 2, and we're going to need like $100,000 to do that. So anyway, this tells me that it increases tannins by 2, so that's going to increase. I believe it also actually increases other stats. We'll find out here in a moment. As far as I have seen in the game, I don't know in the actual real-world process. Tannin seems to be connected to acidity. Okay, so this, every 2 weeks of fermentation decreases sweetness. I don't know if that's good for this. I think we probably want middle of the road until I can figure out how best to raise this. Now, I did go through the tutorial just sort of as a practice before this video, and a stat of 6766 gave me a 4-star wine. So we're going to do less than 2 weeks and just hopefully leave all that as is. And then we'll go into crushing, or pressing rather. So this is where we affect the acidity. It says for every 10% of pressed juice, your acidity increases by 1. So we can see here that we can affect the amount of pressed juice and free run juice. So I know we need 6 for the Cabernet. 5 is too little, 7 is too much, so 6 is going to be the good stuff. So we're going to go down there, and that will give me 20%, which gives me 2, so it will give me 6. Now, one other thing I need to remember, though, is that we're going to then go into the aging process after we press it, and that will also have effects on stats. I'm probably just going to sell it immediately and just push it out there since it's my first wine. So we'll begin the press. And there we go. Now, unfortunately, I did not get my ideal range of ripeness. There are other things that affect your, well, not your stats, but your actual wine in the end. If you have the ideal range, you will get 1 extra star, so long as your overall stars after the reviewing process are 3.5 or less. So that helps. And of course, your star rating is connected to the amount you can sell it for. If we over-ripen, then or allow it to be overexposed, which is, I guess, the only way it can over-ripen because it needs the sun, we will actually get -1 stars. So, Aging softens the wine's tannins and acidity, giving it smoother and balanced taste. Okay, yeah, so that probably has more to do with the body. As we age it, the body increases, I'm going to guess. Given that we need acidity to be 6, and I don't even know what tannins does in the game, I am going to have to go through this, and hopefully I can find more detail, because you can drill down inside the manual to find all the detailed information, and, oh, man, I just want to play the game. So we're going to go with a common French oak, which is the only thing we can do at the moment, and you see that it decreases acidity by 1 and tannins by 2 for every month. So basically, if I leave it in there, we're going to go down below optimum taste right now. So we're going to sell it as soon as we put it in the barrels. So here we go.
Once you have stored your
blah blah, and now we can open up this cellar door, which shows me what I have in the cellar. I have 4 barrels that I got out of that, and I believe ripeness also has impact on the amount that you harvest, because if you get optimum, I think you actually get 8. So this is going to affect my bottom line as well. So it really is early on that the whole balance of the foliage and the sunshine is important, and of course the weather is sporadic, so that's fun. So now we get to bottle this stuff, and it's not going to give me very much. Now this gives me, well, it gives me options for, you know, having screw cap, cork, whatever, which increases not only how much I can sell it for, but also how much it's going to cost me to produce it. And since this wasn't a very good wine, I'm just going to go with basic screw cap, and I don't think this matters at all, to be honest. That looks more like a white wine bottle, so we'll go with like that. 4 bottles, well, not 4 bottles, 4 barrels turned into bottles. We have 480 bottles. So we're going to organize a tasting. That's the next thing, because now we have to have it rated so that we can figure out the price we're going to sell it for. And right now it gives me these 3 by default, and we have to select all of them. You have to have 3 in order to get a taste testing. Ooh! Wow. I'll be honest, I was not expecting that. Good Cabernet Sauvignon is everywhere, but great ones are rare, just like this little gem. I wish now I had corked the bottle, because this is going to be a fantastic, I mean, $15. I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but having played this once already, well, I mean, a couple times I played through the tutorial, to be honest, and this price is the best I have ever gotten. That is, of course, the best. 5-star, and I just unlocked whatever the hell this is that I've been trying to unlock, just to see what it does. So we'll find out in a moment.
Congratulations on getting your first batch of wine reviewed. Now that your wine has
I apologize if she's very loud. I don't know.
You can now
just
sell
yet.
them to your distributors.
Okay, so anyway, now we go to our distributors, blah, 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 and this is where she's like, yeah, have fun figuring it all out. So, now we go to market, and we have 4 different sellers. 3 of them we can sell in quantities. Sorry. First you have to select sell. I was like, where's my wine? So we can sell them in quantities, and those quantities will have to sell down. So if we fill up all 3 of them and try to split the market, we can do that because it will take less time, for them to sell out, which could be good if we need a quick influx of cash. But we also run the risk that we cannot sell them a new wine until they're empty. So I think in this case I will just do 240 because that's the max they're going to buy from me. We also do have a 4th distributor, this Croup Foods, which is basically like supermarket box wine, and this will just sell immediately. So I mean, we can sell up to 480, but I think that's just maxes out all the time. We don't have to put in how much we're going to sell them, unless of course like I had just way too much wine, and so I sold them all the max, and then I was like, well, I need to get this out of my cellar because it's going to age and that's going to affect the stats, so I'll just blow it all through the supermarkets. Anyway, let's sell that. And so, wow. So when you sell them good wines, that increases your relations. What that does exactly, I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up. But I imagine it probably increases your price per bottle and all that stuff, and how much they'll buy from you, etc. So you sell them anything less than a 5, you get a 1. So because I sold 5, I get 2. I imagine trying to sell them bad wine will also lower that. But for right now, we're done, and we're going to make some money. Excellent. So now that that's done, I'm going to come over here and find out what the hell this is. Chance and circumstance. Everyone from beggars to kings are subject to the whims of chance and circumstance. Will you roll the dice and see what fate has in store for you? Why do I feel like this is going to take every advantage away from me that I mean, this is a great start to the fucking play. Let's play here. Okay, let's do it. Chance or circumstance?
The town's mayor has heard about your vineyard and would like to pay a visit. It's a good opportunity to impress him with some of your finest wines. Once you have crafted the perfect wine, invite the mayor over for an afternoon in your estate's grounds for a glass or two. Do well, and you might just get that government grant you've always wanted.
I don't know if he was trying to do a Clint Eastwood or what, but okay, so here's another aspect that I am unfamiliar with and totally not prepared to talk about. But apparently the mayor is going to come over to my estate, and we need to impress him. Now, just looking through some of the things we can buy and build, this little button right here is sort of like appearance items and stuff like that. We can improve the overall look of the vineyard, which increases my prestige. Which probably improves a lot of things for the estate. Again, I'm not quite sure what they do. I'll look it up for the next video, but by doing this, I feel like we're going to suddenly have to spend a lot of money to spruce up my little place, and I don't know that we're ready to do that. However, I'm intrigued by this government grant. We could get a large influx of money right away, which could be a good advantage right now, at the very beginning of this. Okay, we'll do it. Huh? Wait, I don't have a wine to pick? Is that because I sold it all? Damn it. Okay, well. That was a waste. I wonder if that, because it's still there, I wonder if I get to do that again. Like, I didn't use it, so it's still in there. I hope that's the case. I hope this is full every time. Okay. Well, anyway, so, with my new influx of money, let's see if I can't, maybe that is not the right button. We'll look at my estate. So, I own 3 tiles. My revenue has not come through yet. It's... well, okay. We'll wait until January. We'll let it run for a little bit. I did want to buy another... Now, wait a minute. It took a while for me to be able to put crops in this. I wonder if maybe I should buy one now to put crops in that, because I don't know if it's going to take a month or two for this to become tilled, fertilized, whatever the hell. We got loam, 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 sandy, loam. Okay, what is sandy used for? Sauvignon and Syrah, which Sauvignon Blanc, the white wine. I don't know. Is Syrah a good wine? Like an expensive wine? I mean, it's an expensive tile, 50,000. If I want to expand out here, it's going to be 20,000, which is all my money. So maybe we'll have to go through a few seasons of not putting anything in here. And I might even, I don't know, maybe I'll be able to plant Chardonnay in here next time around. So perhaps we'll just wait. I could buy this one for just 10,000. That is a lake. I thought it was an empty tile. It is a lake that grants temporary immunity from Phylloxera. So if I put that there and then maybe do vineyards around there if I'm lucky. Anyway, let's go back to some of these other things. So this is what I was talking about, the ambient objects. Changing room for sunbathers, I guess I can put that on a lake. Beach chairs, parasols, tents. What is the tent good for? Shelter out in the woods. Okay. Again, I think these just improve my prestige. Renown, I should say. That's what it's called. A couple of these increase renown, specifically. The wind turbines. There's another one. Now, what these actual things do, these other ones, I don't know. So maybe I'll have to look at that just a little bit more, too. 100 renown! Wow. So I saved that for a lake, I guess. Traditional wine press. Again, I think it's saying ambient, so this isn't like I will buy this and upgrade. It's a... I just put it on the ground somewhere. So let's look at this estate. It's going to cost me 100 grand. So we're going to have to wait a little bit, and it's going to cost me 500 maintenance. Now, let's allow it to run a little bit, because I want to see my annual report. We got some sun in December. That's good. It's unfortunate that we can't use that, but it is, after all, December. January, there we go. Okay, so now let's come in here. Now we can see I have made some revenue. That's pretty good. Lifetime 5-star wines. We're a year old and already producing our first 5-star wine. That is excellent. I will have to write down the stats of that. I believe the sweetness was 5. I've got a piece of paper here that I'm going to be writing down all the ideal stats. And who knows, maybe I will feel magnanimous and create a wiki for this damn game because no one else has so far, with all the ideal wine types. Anyway, we can see that I have made a bit of money. However, I have expended far, far more than that. I am in the negative for 7 grand. Almost 8 grand. What is that? Storage expenses. Okay, so we must not have sold all. Well, let's go into the... There. Go into here. It seems that I have... Nope, they've sold all my wine. Well. So, that right there, given that it was a 5-star wine and we sold it at a very high price and I still lost financially half of everything, that tells me that we really suffered from not having super ripeness. It tastes really well, but we didn't get a large enough crop, which means I had probably half the wine I could have to sell. Obviously, that was hugely detrimental. So, we will not be increasing my croppage, and maybe I'll go to Chardonnay, although now that I know what Cabernet, how to raise Cabernet properly, it might behoove me just to... Well, see, now that's the other thing. It might behoove me to just do it again 1 year, but I cannot buy another tile. Why? Because that is going to be 20 grand to do that, and then it's a 5,000 planting cost. So that's clearly more than I have. So we're going to have to go with just what we've got right now, but again, I could swap that for Chardonnay if I want to risk trying to figure out those stats. I think I can do better. So I think we'll just stick with what we've got. I'm going to go ahead and actually, now that we've gone through sort of the tutorial and beginning, which, you know, I thought was a pretty good start, except for the whole, in the whole first year bumper crop, but whatever. I think I'll just go ahead and end this one here, and then I'll see you next time.